The Breaking Point ambassador Sarah Chen had always believed in the power of words. Standing in the crystalline halls of the Corinthian conclave, she clutched her diplomatic tablet and reminded herself that today's mediation could prevent a war that might consume 3 star systems. The dispute between the insectoid Vexi and the aquatic Delphinians over mining rights in the Proxima Nebula had escalated beyond reason. But Sarah had built her career on impossible negotiations. "Honored counselors," she began, her voice carrying across the vast chamber where thousands of alien delegates observed from floating platforms. "I propose we examine this conflict through the lens of mutual benefit rather than territorial dominance." The lead Corinthian, a towering being with 4 arms and skin that shifted colors with emotion, raised one appendage dismissively. "Ambassador Chen, you speak of concepts foreign to the natural order. Territory is claimed through strength, not compromise." Sarah had expected this response. The Carathians were proud, ancient, and viewed younger species especially naive children playing at diplomacy. But she had come prepared with historical precedents, economic projections, and a framework that would allow both parties to benefit from the nebula's resources. "If I may present the data," Sarah said, activating her holographic display, "joint mining operations have proven 300% more profitable than contested ones. The Altarian-human partnership in the Kepler belt generated enough wealth to terraform 2 worlds." Murmurs rippled through the assembly. Some delegates leaned forward with interest, but the Corinthian council remained unmoved. Worse, their skin had shifted to deep crimson color. Sarah's briefings had warned meant extreme displeasure. "Enough," thundered the Council Prime, his voice resonating through the chamber's acoustic amplifiers. "Human, you commit the gravest sin possible in these holes: cultural contamination. You seek to impose your primitive notions of cooperation upon species that have evolved beyond such weakness." Sarah's heart sank. Cultural contamination was a nebulous charge, often levied when aliens wanted to dismiss human perspectives without debate. "Honored Prime, I merely suggest that silence." The Prime's roar was deafening. "You have poisoned this sacred mediation with your species' corrupt philosophy. The penalty for such contamination is clear." The chamber fell silent. Sarah felt the weight of thousands of alien eyes upon her. She knew the Corinthian legal code: cultural contamination carried severe penalties. But surely they wouldn't. "Sarah Chen of Earth, you are sentenced to neural disintegration. The process will be broadcast across the galaxy as a warning to any who would corrupt our ancient ways with foreign ideology." The words hit her like a physical blow. Neural disintegration was the most agonizing death imaginably. Process that systematically destroyed brain tissue while keeping the victim conscious until the final moment. It was a punishment reserved for the worst criminals, not diplomats. "I invoke diplomatic immunity," Sarah said, her voice steady despite the terror clawing at her chest. "I am here under the protection of intergalactic law." "Your immunity is void," the Prime declared. "You are no longer a diplomat, you are a cultural terrorist." Security drones descended from the ceiling, their energy restraints wrapping around Sarah's limbs. As they dragged her toward the execution platform, she saw the faces of the alien delegates. Some looked shocked, others disturbed, but far too many seemed eager for the spectacle to come. The execution chamber was a sphere of polished black metal, surrounded by viewing galleries that filled rapidly with alien spectators. They came to watch her die like it was entertainment. Sarah was strapped to a chair in the center, neural inhibitor nodes attached to her skull. "Any final words, Contaminator?" the Prime asked, Sarah looked directly into the broadcast camera. She knew this signal would reach Earth, would reach her. Daughter Emma, studying at New Cambridge, would reach everyone she loved. But she also knew something else. This wasn't just being broadcast to Earth. Every human colony, every Earthship, every outpost would see this. "My name is Sarah Chen," she said, her voice carrying to billions across the galaxy. "I am a daughter of Earth. I came here in peace, seeking to prevent war. And I am being murdered for suggesting that different species can work together. Emma, if you're watching this, remember who your mother was. Remember what they did to me. And remember that Earth never forgets." The neural disintegrator activated. Sarah's scream echoed through the chamber as her brain tissue began to burn away, synapse by synapse. She remained conscious as they had promised, aware of every neuron dying, feeling her memories dissolve one by one. The alien audience cheered as her body convulsed. They cheered louder as she begged for mercy, and they reached a crescendo of approval as her final scream cut off, leaving only the smoking husk of what had been humanity's most gifted diplomat. The Prime raised his arms in triumph. "Let this be a lesson to all who would challenge the natural order. Weakness disguised as wisdom will not be tolerated." But even as Sarah's body cooled, her message was racing through quantum communication networks toward Earth. It reached the Sol system 17 hours later, arriving first at the monitoring station on Luna. The operator on duty, a grizzled veteran named Marcus Webb, watched the feed once, then immediately routed it through military channels. Earth's president received the transmission in her secure bunker beneath the Swiss Alps. She watched in silence as Sarah Chen died, screaming, as aliens cheered the murder of a woman whose only crime was suggesting peace. When the footage ended, she sat in darkness for exactly 60 seconds. Then she picked up a phone that connected to only one number. "General Morrison," she said when the line opened. "Activate protocol, Crimson Dawn. Full authorization, no restrictions." There was a pause. "Ma'am, are you certain?" "Once they burned our diplomat alive, General. They broadcast it as entertainment." "Yes, I'm certain." Protocol Crimson Dawn had been designed in secret during humanity's early expansion into space. It was Earth's ultimate contingency, planned to mobilize every human military asset in the galaxy simultaneously, regardless of political boundaries or treaties. For 40 years, it had remained theoretical, a doomsday scenario that military planners hoped would never be necessary. Now it was active. Within hours, the protocol's activation codes reached human fleets scattered across 1,000 light years. Admiral Sarah Vega, commanding the 3rd Colonial Fleet near the Centauri shipyards, received her orders while reviewing routine patrol reports. She read the classified message 3 times before calling her senior staff to the briefing room. "Ladies and gentlemen," she said, displaying Sarah Chen's execution on the main screen. "Our diplomat was murdered by alien savages who think human life is worthless. Earth has activated Crimson Dawn. As of this moment, we are no longer bound by any treaty, law, or diplomatic nicety that doesn't serve human interests." Her weapons officer, a young man barely out of the academy, raised his hand. "Admiral, what are our orders?" Vega's smile was cold as winter on Pluto. "We're going to remind the galaxy why they should have left us alone. The first human strike came without warning. The Corinthian embassy on Kepler Station, a neutral trading post near the Galactic core, was hosting a celebration of Sarah's execution when kinetic missiles punched through the station's hull. The embassy section decompressed in seconds. sending Corythian diplomats spinning into vacuum where they died as screaming, frozen corpses. Similar attacks erupted across the galaxy. Corythian trade vessels found themselves targeted by cloaked human ships that appeared from nowhere, delivered devastating broadsides, then vanished before reinforcements could arrive. Alien species that had cheered Sarah's death discovered their colonies under assault by human marines who showed no mercy and took no prisoners. But the message that truly terrified the galaxy came not through military channels, but broadcast, on every frequency, in every language, to every world with communication capability. The transmission opened with Sarah Chen's execution. Play asterisk. The transmission opened with Sarah Chen's execution, played in full. Then the image shifted to show a human in military uniform, Admiral Vega herself, standing on the bridge of her flagship. To every species, every government, every individual who watched our diplomat die and felt entertainment rather than horror, she said, her voice carrying the weight of absolute conviction, "You have made a grave error. You believed humanity was weak because we sought peace. You believed we were naive because we offered cooperation. You believed we were harmless because we followed your rules." She paused, letting the silence build tension across countless worlds. "You were wrong. We followed your rules because we chose to, not because we had to. We sought peace because we preferred it, not because we couldn't wage war. And now that you've shown us what you truly are, what you really think of us, we're going to show you what we really are." The image shifted to show human fleets massing near the Sol system, hundreds of warships emerging from hidden bases, their hulls bearing the scars of previous conflicts, but bristling with weapons that most aliens had never imagined. "We are humanity," Vega continued. "We remember every kindness, every betrayal, every slight. We remember our friends, and we remember our enemies. Sarah Chen came to you in peace, and you killed her for sport. Now you'll discover what happens when humanity stops pretending to be civilized." The transmission ended with a simple message. "In every known language, remember her name. Asterisk, the reckoning." The emergency session of the Galactic Coalition convened on the neutral world of Axis Prime, deep within the heavily fortified core worlds. Representatives from over 200 species crammed into the ancient amphitheater, their voices rising in a cacophony of fear, anger, and desperate strategizing. The massive holographic display at the chamber's center showed the expanding chaos red markers, indicating human attacks spreading like a virus across the galaxy's trade routes. "The humans have lost their minds," shrieked the Zephorian delegate, her crystalline body chiming with agitation. "They're attacking diplomatic stations, trade convoys, even medical vessels." "Not medical vessels," corrected General Dex of the Corythian military, his forearms gesturing at the tactical display. "Only ships carrying Corythians, or species that publicly supported the Chen execution. They're being surgical in their targeting." This distinction provided no comfort to the assembled delegates. If anything, it made the human response more terrifying. Random violence could be dismissed as barbaric rage, but calculated vengeance suggested a level of strategic thinking that most species had never credited to humanity. The Coalition's supreme commander, an ancient ethereal named Zixai, whose consciousness existed as pure energy within a crystalline shell, materialized at the chamber's center. The human military response has been unprecedented in its scope and coordination. Our intelligence suggests they've been secretly building fleets and weapon systems for decades, hidden from our monitoring. The revelation sent shocked murmurs through the assembly. For over a century, humanity had appeared to be a minor spacefaring civilization, dependent on alien technology and grateful for inclusion in galactic society. The idea that they had been concealing true military capabilities was almost incomprehensible. How many ships do they have? Asked the Delphinian representative, her aquatic suit rippling with nervous energy. Unknown, Zixai admitted. Our estimates are clearly worthless. What we can confirm is that they've deployed forces we never knew existed, using weapons technology that rivals or exceeds our own. As if summoned by those words, the chamber's communication systems crackled to life. Every screen displayed the same image: Admiral Vega, standing on the bridge of a human warship. But now she wasn't alone. Behind her stood a dozen other human commanders, their uniforms bearing insignia from fleets throughout the galaxy. Honored delegates of the Galactic Coalition, Vega began, her tone mockingly formal. We understand you're having an emergency session to discuss the human problem. We thought we'd save you some time. The humans had somehow infiltrated their most secure communications network. Species that had considered themselves technologically superior suddenly realized how exposed they truly were. You've spent the last week wondering how we could possibly threaten your vast coalition, Vega continued. You've been calculating ship counts, analyzing weapon yields, planning conventional strategies, but you're thinking about this wrong. This isn't a conventional war, it's a reckoning. The image shifted to show human fleets moving through hyperspace. But these weren't the modest patrol groups that aliens had grown accustomed to seeing. These were massive armadas, dreadnoughts, the size of cities, carrier groups that could deploy. Thousands of fighters, support vessels bristling with weapons that shouldn't have existed. For 80 years, we've been building, learning, preparing, Vega explained. Every slight, every condescending comment, every generous treaty that left us with scraps, we remembered it all. We studied your weaknesses, mapped your supply lines, infiltrated your networks, and we waited. The tactical display now showed something that made several delegates flee the chamber in panic. Human ships were surrounding the core worlds themselves, having somehow penetrated the galaxy's most heavily defended space. Sarah Chen was our final attempt at diplomacy, Vega said. We sent our best negotiator to prevent a war that would have harmed thousands of innocent lives. You murdered her for suggesting that different species could work together. You broadcast her death as entertainment. You cheered while she screamed. Her expression hardened. Now you'll understand why that was a mistake. The transmission cut to surveillance footage from across the galaxy: human marines storming Corythean settlements, their powered armor shrugging off alien weapons, while their own guns cut through enemy forces like paper. Human ships emerging, from stealth to devastate entire fleets before vanishing again. Alien colonies going dark as human cyber warfare. Specialists turned their own systems against them. But most disturbing of all were the psychological operations. On every world, on every station, on every ship with communication capability, humans were broadcasting Sarah Chen's execution on a continuous loop. They forced alien populations to watch her die, to hear her screams, to see the joy on alien faces as she suffered. The message was clear. Remember what you did. Remember what you celebrated. Remember why we're coming for you. General Dex stood. Amid the chaos of the coalition chamber, his military bearing imposing despite the fear radiating from his pheromone glands. We must unite, he declared. Every species, every fleet, every weapon. Together, we outnumber them thousands to one. Do we? The question came from an unexpected source, Ambassador Kell of the Regelian Union, a species known for their analytical nature. Our intelligence has been completely wrong about human capabilities. What if our population estimates are equally flawed? Before anyone could respond, their worst fears were confirmed. The chamber's main display activated, showing what appeared to be impossible. Human fleet numbering in the tens of thousands, emerging from hyperspace above Axis Prime itself. Admiral Vega's image returned, but now she was broadcasting from orbit directly above them. "By all means, unite against us," she said. "Gather your fleets, plan your strategies, prepare your defenses. While you're doing that, we'll be visiting your homeworlds." The transmission shifted to show live footage. From the Corothian homeworld, human ships filled the skies above their greatest cities, weapons trained on population centers. But they weren't firing, not yet. The species responsible for Sarah Chen's murder have 24 hours to surrender unconditionally, Vega announced. Every government official who voted for her execution, every military officer who participated, every citizen who cheered, they will face human justice. The rest of your people will be relocated to designated worlds under human supervision. The implications were staggering. Humanity wasn't just seeking revenge, they were demanding the complete subjugation of the Corothian species. As for the rest of you, Vega continued, her gaze seeming to pierce through the screen into the souls of every watching delegate, you have a choice. Continue to treat humanity as inferior, continue to dismiss our perspectives, continue to view us as expendable and share the Carathians' fate, or acknowledge what should have been obvious from the beginning, that humans are not your subjects, your entertainment, or your inferior neighbors. We are your equals at minimum, and as of today, we're rapidly becoming much more. The coalition chamber erupted in panic. Some delegates demanded immediate mobilization of their fleets. Others called for negotiations. A few had the wisdom to recognize that they were witnessing the emergence of a new galactic superpower. Zixai raised his energy form above the chaos, his voice cutting through the noise. "What are your terms?" he asked. Asterisk. Vega's smile was cold as the void between stars. Simple. Humanity will be granted permanent seats on all galactic governing bodies, with veto power over any decision affecting human interests. Human colonies will be granted full sovereignty, with no outside interference. Any species that harms a human will face the full might of our military response. And most importantly, there will be a memorial to Sarah Chen in the center of this chamber, so that every delegate who enters will remember what happens when you mistake our desire for peace as a sign of weakness. And if we refuse, Zig asked, though he already knew the answer, then you'll discover what happens when humanity stops holding back, Vega replied. We spent centuries learning to be civilized because we thought you were civilized too. But you're not your predators, wearing the mask of enlightenment. Well, congratulations. You've awakened something that makes your worst nightmares look like pleasant dreams. The transmission ended, leaving the coalition delegates in stunned silence. Outside, they could hear the rumble of human ships in their atmosphere, a sound that would haunt their dreams for generations to come. 3 hours later, the Corothian government surrendered unconditionally. Within a week, every major species in the galaxy had accepted humanity's terms. The age of human subservience was over, replaced by an era where the galaxy's newest superpower ruled not through conquest, but through the simple understanding that some lines should never be crossed. The memorial to Sarah Chen was unveiled. A month later, simple black stone bearing her name, and the words she spoke before her death. Remember who your mother was. Remember what they did to me. And remember that Earth never forgets. Every galactic delegate was required to touch the stone upon entering the chamber, a daily reminder that humanity's capacity for both peace and vengeance knew no bounds. And in the years that followed, whenever species contemplated testing human resolve, they would look at that memorial and remember the price of treating human diplomats as expendable entertainment. The galaxy had learned its lesson. Humanity never forgot its friends, but more importantly, they never forgot their enemies either.
The Galactic Crisis. The vast chamber of the United Galactic Council buzzed with an undercurrent of fear. Representatives from 1,000 worlds shifted uneasily in their seats, their varied anatomies a testament to the diversity of life in the known universe. At the center of the room, High Counselor Xyraphel, a being of shimmering energy barely contained within a humanoid form, raised her arms for silence. Esteemed colleagues, she began, her voice resonating with a mix of authority and concern. The situation has become dire. The Zarkonian swarms have breached our outer defenses. 12 systems have fallen in the past solar cycle alone. We stand on the precipice of extinction. A chorus of worried murmurs rippled through the assembly. Holographic displays flickered to life, showing the inexorable advance of the Zarkonian forces, a tide of biomechanical horrors consuming everything in their path. Ambassador Krelix, a towering insectoid with iridescent compound eyes, chittered nervously. Our most advanced weapons barely slow them. They adapt too quickly, evolving countermeasures faster than we can develop new strategies. What hope remains? Xyraphel's form pulsed with determination. Hope, my friends, lies in the unexplored. Our deep space probes have detected a promising signal from a hitherto unknown sector. A young species newly emerged onto the galactic stage, but with potential unlike any we've seen. The central holo display shifted, revealing the blue-green planet orbiting an unremarkable yellow star. Behold, Xyraphel continued, the world they call Earth. Incredulous exclamations filled the chamber. Ambassador Lorne, a gelatinous being from the aquatic worlds of the Hydron cluster, burbled skeptically. This Earth, it appears primitive. How could such a nascent civilization offer aid against a threat that has confounded our greatest minds? Xyraphel gestured, and the display zoomed in on the planet's surface. Images flashed by, sprawling cities, vehicles traversing land, sea, and air, and glimpses of a species in the early stages of space exploration. Observe their history, the High Counselor urged. In mere centuries, they've progressed from simple tools to the threshold of interstellar travel. Their capacity for innovation is unparalleled. The Council watched in fascination as Earth's history unfolded before them. Wars and peace, triumphs and setbacks, but always progress, always adaptation. More importantly, Xyraphel added, her voice lowering conspiratorially, our covered observations have revealed a unique trait. These humans possess an indomitable spirit, a refusal to yield in the face of overwhelming odds. It is a quality that may prove invaluable against the Zarkonian threat. Silence fell over the chamber as the implications sank in. It was Ambassador Krelix who finally spoke. You propose we seek their aid. Reveal ourselves and the greater galaxy to an untested species. Xyraphel's form pulsed brightly. I propose more than that. I suggest we offer them full membership in the United Galactic Council, with all the rights and responsibilities that entails. We need their innovative minds, their adaptability, and their unbreakable will. Uproar ensued. Some counselors vehemently opposed the idea, citing the risks of trusting the fate of the galaxy to an unknown factor. Others saw it as their last, best hope. The debate raged for hours, with passionate arguments on both sides. As the clamor reached a fever pitch, a new voice cut through the din. General Therok, Supreme Commander of the Galactic Defense Forces, stepped forward. The grizzled veteran's cybernetic enhancements glinted in the chamber's light. "Esteemed colleagues," he rumbled, his gravelly voice commanding instant attention. "While we debate, more worlds fall. I have led our forces against the Zarkonian swarms for decades. I have seen the bravest warriors and most brilliant tacticians falter before their onslaught. We need a new approach, a wild card to change the rules of engagement. These humans, they may be our last hope." A hush fell over the assembly. If the legendary General Therok endorsed this plan, perhaps there was merit to it after all. Zarafel seized the moment. "We shall put it to a vote. All in favor of extending an invitation to Earth, to join our ranks and stand with us against the Zarkonian threat, signal your assent." One by one, holographic indicators flickered to life across the chamber. A clear majority emerged. The decision was made. "Then it is settled," Zarafel declared. "We shall dispatch an envoy to Earth immediately. May the stars grant us wisdom and fortune in this endeavor." As the council adjourned, a mix of trepidation and hope permeated the air. None could predict how the humans would respond to this revelation of galactic life and the terrible danger that threatened all. But in the face of annihilation, they had chosen to reach out, to place their trust in an unknown ally. Across the vast expanse of space, on the blue-green world that had captured the council's attention, humanity went about its daily life, blissfully unaware of the monumental changes that were about to reshape their destiny. In cities and villages, in laboratories and stargazing observatories, the people of Earth continued their relentless push forward, driven by that uniquely human blend of curiosity, ambition, and hope. Little did they know that very soon they would be called upon to showcase the true extent of their potential, not just for themselves, but for the survival of all sentient life in the galaxy. As the Galactic Council's envoy ship prepared for its journey to Earth, carrying with it the hopes of countless civilizations, the Zarkonian swarms continued their inexorable advance. The stage was set for a confrontation that would determine the fate of the galaxy, with humanity poised to play a pivotal role in the greatest conflict the universe had ever known. The call would soon be made. The question remained: how would Earth answer? Humanity's response. The crisp mountain air of Colorado filled General Sarah Chen's lungs as she stepped out of her car. The early morning sun cast long shadows across the entrance of Cheyenne Mountain Complex, home to NORAD, and unknown to most of the world, the newly formed Extraterrestrial Response Division, ERD. Sarah's comm unit buzzed. "General, you're needed in the war room immediately. We've got a situation." "On my way," she replied, quickening her pace. Deep within the mountain, Sarah entered a bustling command center. Screens displayed a cacophony of data streams, satellite imagery, and what appeared to be an unidentified object approaching Earth at impossible speeds. "Report," Sarah barked, her eyes scanning the room. Colonel Jake Harper, her second in command, stepped forward. "Ma'am, at 300 hours, our deep space monitoring stations detected an anomaly. It's like nothing we've ever seen before." The main screen flickered to life, showing a sleek, almost organic-looking vessel decelerating as it approached Earth orbit. "First contact," Sarah breathed, a mix of excitement and apprehension in her voice. "What's its current trajectory?" "It's positioning itself in geosynchronous orbit, General," a young lieutenant replied. "And we're receiving a transmission." The room fell silent as a melodious, otherworldly voice filled the air. "People of Earth, we come in peace and dire need. We are representatives of the United Galactic Council. Your world stands at the threshold of a great and terrible revelation. We request an audience with your leaders to discuss a matter that concerns the fate of all sentient life in our galaxy." For a moment, no one moved. Then, the room erupted into controlled chaos as personnel rushed to verify the transmission, analyze the alien vessel, and alert world leaders. Sarah's mind raced. This was the moment they had prepared for, yet nothing could truly ready them for the reality of first contact. Colonel Harper, initiate first contact protocols. I need to brief the President and the Joint Chiefs immediately. As Sarah made her way to a secure communication room, she couldn't help but feel that humanity was about to be thrust onto a stage far larger than they had ever imagined. Hours later, in a hastily convened meeting of the United Nations Security Council, holographic projections of alien representatives stood before Earth's leaders. High Counselor Zyrafil's shimmering form captivated the assembly as she explained the dire threat posed by the Zarkonian swarms and the Council's request for Earth's assistance. We have observed your species, Zyrafil concluded, and believe that your unique attributes, your adaptability, your innovative spirit, and your indomitable will may be the key to turning the tide against this existential threat. We offer you full membership in the United Galactic Council and ask that you stand with us in this darkest hour. The chamber erupted into a flurry of questions, concerns, and heated debates. Some leaders were eager to seize the opportunity for advancement, while others were wary of involving Earth in an interstellar conflict. Amidst the clamor, the President of the United States rose to speak. High Counselor Zyrafil, esteemed colleagues, we find ourselves at a crossroads unlike any in human history. The revelation of extraterrestrial life alone is paradigm-shifting. To be asked to join in a war of cosmic proportions, it is almost beyond comprehension. She paused, her gaze sweeping across the room. And yet, throughout our history, humanity has faced seemingly insurmountable challenges. We have always risen to meet them. Driven by our curiosity, our compassion, and our unwavering hope for a better future. Today, we are called upon not just to save ourselves, but to stand for all sentient life in the galaxy. The President's words seemed to resonate with the Assembly. One by one, world leaders voiced their support for joining the galactic community and offering aid against the Zarkonian threat. As the session concluded, Earth had made its decision. Humanity would answer the call. In the days that followed, the world transformed. News of alien life and the impending threat spread like wildfire. Initial panic gave way to a sense of united purpose as governments worldwide mobilized their resources. At Cheyenne Mountain, General Chen oversaw the integration of alien technology with Earth's defense systems. Scientists and engineers worked around the clock, pushing the boundaries of human knowledge as they adapted to new concepts of physics and technology. General, you need to see this, Colonel Harper called out, gesturing to a workstation where a team of engineers huddled around a holographic display. Sarah approached, her eyes widening as she took in the schematics before her. Is that what I think it is? A young engineer nodded enthusiastically. Yes, ma'am. By combining our propulsion theories with the Galactic Council's tech, we've developed a prototype for a faster-than-light drive. We're calling it the Alcubierre-Chin drive. Sarah allowed herself a small smile. This was exactly the kind of innovation they needed. Excellent work. How soon can we have a working model? We estimate 2 weeks for a small-scale test, General, the engineer replied. Full implementation for our fleet. Maybe 2 months. 2 months. It seemed like an eternity with the Zarkonian threat looming, yet it was a miracle by any standard of technological development. Make it happen, Sarah ordered, and keep me updated on any other breakthroughs. As she turned to leave, Colonel Harper fell into step beside her. Ma'am, the first wave of volunteers for the Galactic Defense Force has completed their initial training. The aliens are impressed, to say the least. How so? Sarah inquired, intrigued. Harper grinned. Apparently, our recruits are showing unprecedented adaptability to alien tech and tactics. The Galactic instructors say they've never seen anything like it. One of them mentioned something about human intuition being the game changer. Sarah nodded, a sense of pride swelling in her chest. This was what the Council had seen in humanity, the ability to face the unknown head-on and thrive. As they reached the command center, alarms suddenly blared to life. Red warning lights bathed the room in an ominous glow. Report, Sarah demanded, rushing to the main console. A tactical officer responded, his voice tense. "General, we're picking up multiple anomalies at the edge of our solar system. Energy signatures match those of the Zirconian swarms described by the Council." Sarah's jaw clenched. They were out of time. "Sound the global alert. Inform the Council that we have engagement. It's time to see what humanity can really do." As the complex erupted into action, Sarah took a moment to steel herself for what was to come. Humanity had answered the call, and now they would have to prove their worth in the crucible of interstellar war. The next few hours would determine whether the Council's faith in Earth had been well placed, or if the galaxy was doomed to fall before the Zirconian onslaught. But as Sarah looked around at the determined faces of her team, human and alien alike, she felt a glimmer of hope. The battle for Earth, for the entire galaxy, was about to begin. Humanity's response. The crisp mountain air of Colorado filled General Sarah Chen's lungs as she stepped out of her car. The early morning sun cast long shadows across the entrance of Cheyenne Mountain Complex, home to NORAD and unknown to most of the world, the newly formed Extraterrestrial Response Division, ERD. Sarah's comm unit buzzed. "General, you're needed in the war room immediately. We've got a situation." "On my way," she replied, quickening her pace. Deep within the mountain, Sarah entered a bustling command center. Screens displayed a cacophony of data streams, satellite imagery, and what appeared to be an unidentified object approaching Earth at impossible speeds. "Report," Sarah barked, her eyes scanning the room. Colonel Jake Harper, her second-in-command, stepped forward. "Ma'am, at 300 hours, our deep space monitoring stations detected an anomaly. It's like nothing we've ever seen before." The main screen flickered to life, showing a sleek, almost organic-looking vessel decelerating as it approached Earth orbit. "First contact," Sarah breathed, a mix of excitement and apprehension in her voice. "What's its current trajectory?" "It's positioning itself in geosynchronous orbit, General," a young lieutenant replied. "And we're receiving a transmission." The room fell silent as a melodious, otherworldly voice filled the air. "People of Earth, we come in peace and dire need. We are representatives of the United Galactic Council. Your world stands at the threshold of a great and terrible revelation. We request an audience with your leaders to discuss a matter that concerns the fate of all sentient life in our galaxy." For a moment, no one moved. Then, the room erupted into controlled chaos as personnel rushed to verify the transmission, analyze the alien vessel, and alert world leaders. Sarah's mind raced. This was the moment they had prepared for, yet nothing could truly ready them for the reality of first contact. "Colonel Harper, initiate first contact protocols. I need to brief the President and the Joint Chiefs immediately." As Sarah made her way to a secure communication room, she couldn't help but feel that humanity was about to be thrust onto a stage far larger than they had ever imagined. Hours later, in a hastily convened meeting of the United Nations Security Council, holographic projections of alien representatives stood before Earth's leaders. High Counselor Zyraphel's shimmering form captivated the assembly as she explained the dire threat posed by the Zirconian swarms and the Council's request for Earth's assistance. "We have observed your species," Zyrafel concluded, "and believe that your unique attributes, your adaptability, your innovative spirit, and your indomitable will may be the key to turning the tide against this existential threat. We offer you full membership in the United Galactic Council and ask that you stand with us in this darkest hour." The chamber erupted into a flurry of questions, concerns, and heated debates. Some leaders were eager to seize the opportunity for advancement, while others were wary of involving Earth in an interstellar conflict. Amidst the clamor, the President of the United States rose to speak. "High Counselor Zyrapel, esteemed colleagues, we find ourselves at a crossroads unlike any in human history. The revelation of extraterrestrial life alone is paradigm-shifting. To be asked to join in a war of cosmic proportions, it is almost beyond comprehension." She paused, her gaze sweeping across the room. "And yet, throughout our history, Humanity has faced seemingly insurmountable challenges. We have always risen to meet them, driven by our curiosity, our compassion, and our unwavering hope for a better future. Today, we are called upon not just to save ourselves, but to stand for all sentient life in the galaxy. The President's words seemed to resonate with the Assembly. One by one, world leaders voiced their support for joining the galactic community and offering aid against the Zarkonian threat. As the session concluded, Earth had made its decision. Humanity would answer the call. In the days that followed, the world transformed. News of alien life and the impending threat spread like wildfire. Initial panic gave way to a sense of united purpose as governments worldwide mobilized their resources. At Cheyenne Mountain, General Chen oversaw the integration of alien technology with Earth's defense systems. Scientists and engineers worked around the clock, pushing the boundaries of human knowledge as they adapted to new concepts of physics and technology. "General, you need to see this," Colonel Harper called out, gesturing to a workstation where a team of engineers huddled around a holographic display. Sarah approached, her eyes widening as she took in the schematics before her. "Is that what I think it is?" A young engineer nodded enthusiastically. "Yes, ma'am. By combining our propulsion theories with the Galactic Council's tech, we've developed a prototype for a faster-than-light drive. We're calling it the Alcubierre drive." Sarah allowed herself a small smile. This was exactly the kind of innovation they needed. "Excellent work. How soon can we have a working model?" "We estimate 2 weeks for a small-scale test, General," the engineer replied. "Full implementation for our fleet, maybe 2 months." 2 months. It seemed like an eternity with the Zarkonian threat looming, yet it was a miracle by any standard of technological development. "Make it happen," Sarah ordered, "and keep me updated on any other breakthroughs." As she turned to leave, Colonel Harper fell into step beside her. "Ma'am, the first wave of volunteers for the Galactic Defense Force has completed their initial training. The aliens are impressed, to say the least." "How so?" Sarah inquired, intrigued. Harper grinned. "Apparently, our recruits are showing unprecedented adaptability to alien tech and tactics. The Galactic instructors say they've never seen anything like it. One of them mentioned something about human intuition being the game changer." Sarah nodded, a sense of pride swelling in her chest. This was what the Council had seen in humanity, the ability to face the unknown head-on and thrive. As they reached the command center, alarms suddenly blared to life. Red warning lights bathed the room in an ominous glow. "Report," Sarah demanded, rushing to the main console. A tactical officer responded, his voice tense. "General, we're picking up multiple anomalies at the edge of our solar system. Energy signatures match those of the Zarkonian swarms described by the Council." Sarah's jaw clenched. They were out of time. "Sound the global alert. Inform the Council that we have engagement. It's time to see what humanity can really do." As the complex erupted into action, Sarah took a moment to steel herself for what was to come. Humanity had answered the call, and now they would have to prove their worth in the crucible of interstellar war. The next few hours would determine whether the Council's faith in Earth had been well placed, or if the galaxy was doomed to fall before the Zarkonian onslaught. But as Sarah looked around at the determined faces of her team, human and alien alike, she felt a glimmer of hope. The battle for Earth, for the entire galaxy, was about to begin. The Battle of Nexus Prime. The bridge of the UEA's Defiant hummed with nervous energy as Captain Maya Rodriguez surveyed the holographic battle map. Earth's first faster-than-light capable warship, built in record time thanks to the fusion of human ingenuity and alien technology, now stood at the forefront of the combined galactic fleet. "Status report," Maya commanded, her voice steady despite the weight of responsibility on her shoulders. Lieutenant Commander Akira Tanaka, her tactical officer, responded crisply. "All systems nominal, Captain. The fleet is in position. Zarkonian swarm estimated to arrive at Nexus Prime in T-10 minutes." Maya nodded, her gaze fixed on the swirling mass of red indicators representing the approaching enemy. Nexus Prime, a critical staging point and supply hub for the United Galactic Council, had to be defended at all costs. If it fell, a quarter of the galaxy would be open to the Zarkonian advance. "Open a channel to the fleet," Maya ordered. As the comm officer signaled readiness, she took a deep breath. "This is Captain Rodriguez to all ships. We stand here today not just for Earth, but for every sentient being in this galaxy. The Zarkonians think us weak, divided. Let's show them how humanity fights when the stakes are this high. Stay sharp, watch each other's backs, and let's make history." Rodriguez out. A chorus of affirmatives flooded the comm channels as the fleet readied itself for battle. The Defiant's crew, a mix of humans and alien allies, worked with practiced efficiency, their training paying off in this moment of truth. "Captain," the sensor officer called out, "we're detecting unusual energy fluctuations in the Zarkonian formation. They're evolving." Maya frowned. "Explain." "Their ships seem to be reconfiguring in real time, adapting to our fleet composition," the officer replied, confusion evident in his voice. Before Maya could respond, a new voice cut in. "Captain Rodriguez, this is High Commander Zaril of the Arcturian Confederation. We've seen this before. The Zarkonians analyze our formations and adapt their attack patterns accordingly. Traditional tactics won't work here." Maya's mind raced. This was why the Council had sought Earth's help. They needed unpredictability, innovation. "Understood, High Commander. Permission to take point on this." There was a moment of hesitation before Zaril responded. "Granted, Captain. Show us what humanity can do." Maya allowed herself a small smile. "All right, people, let's think outside the box. Tanaka, what's the status on Project Chimera?" Akira's eyes widened in recognition. "Untested in combat, Captain, but the simulations were promising. No time like the present. Implement Chimera protocols. Inform the human contingent to follow our lead, and signal the Allied ships to hold position until further notice." As her crew scrambled to enact her orders, Maya watched the battle map intently. The Zarkonian swarm, a writhing mass of biomechanical horrors, entered the system. But instead of the organized resistance they expected, they found chaos. The human ships broke formation, each squadron executing seemingly random maneuvers. Vessels powered down only to surge back to life in unexpected locations. Electronic warfare suites pumped out contradictory signals, creating sensor ghosts and false targets. "What manner of madness is this?" High Commander Zaril's voice crackled over the comms, a mix of confusion and awe in his tone. Maya grinned. "This, Commander, is controlled chaos. The one thing the Zarkonians can't adapt to. Pure, human unpredictability." On the battle map, the effect was immediate. The Zarkonian swarm's cohesive formation began to fracture as it tried to adapt to the erratic movements of the human fleet. Ships collided with one another, their usually impeccable coordination thrown into disarray. "Now," Maya commanded, "all ships, execute attack pattern Delta 9. As one, the human fleet's chaotic dance transformed into a synchronized assault. Ships that seemed to be retreating suddenly turned, catching Zarkonian vessels in devastating crossfires. The Defiant itself led a daring charge straight through the enemy's disorganized center, its advanced weaponry tearing through the biomechanical hulls. Inspired by the humans' audacity, the alien allies joined the fray. Arcturian battlecruisers unleashed salvos of energy weapons, while nimble Trexian fighters darted between larger ships, picking off stragglers. For hours, the battle raged across the Nexus Prime system. The Zarkonians, for the first time in the war, found themselves consistently outmaneuvered. Every time they adapted to one human tactic, 3 more unpredictable strategies would be unleashed. "Captain," Akira called out, excitement breaking through his professional demeanor. "The enemy fleet is retreating. We've done it." A cheer went up across the bridge, quickly echoed throughout the fleet as the news spread. The Zarkonian swarm, bloodied and confused, limped away from Nexus Prime, leaving behind a field of debris that testified to their defeat. As the adrenaline of battle faded, Maya allowed herself to slump slightly in her chair. They had won, yes, but the cost had been high. Several human ships had been lost, along with many of their alien allies. Each name, each ship, weighed heavily on her conscience. Captain Rodriguez, High Commander Zarl's voice came through once more, this time filled with unmistakable respect. I must admit, when your people joined our cause, I had my doubts. But today, you've more than proven humanity's worth. The galaxy owes you a debt of gratitude. Maya straightened in her chair. Thank you, Commander, but this was just one battle. The war is far from over. Indeed, Zarl agreed. But you've given us something we'd almost lost, hope. For the first time since this conflict began, we have a real chance of victory. As the fleet regrouped and began the process of securing the system, Maya reflected on the commander's words. They had won a significant victory, true, but she couldn't shake the feeling that this was just the beginning. The Zarkonians would adapt, would come back stronger, and humanity would need to be ready. Lieutenant Commander Tanaka, she called out, once we've finished recovery operations, set a course back to Earth. We need to report on the effectiveness of Project Chimera and begin developing new strategies. Aye, Captain, Akira responded. And if I may say, it's been an honor serving with you in this battle. Maya nodded, a small smile playing on her lips. The honor is mine, Akira. We've made history today, all of us. Now let's make sure we're ready to do it again. As the Defiant prepared for its journey home, news of the victory at Nexus Prime spread across the galaxy. On countless worlds, beings of all species celebrated this first, crucial triumph against the Zarkonian threat. And everywhere, one word was on everyone's lips, spoken with a mix of awe and newfound hope. Humans. The Battle of Nexus Prime had proved that humanity's potential was every bit as great as the Galactic Council had hoped. But as Maya Rodriguez and her crew knew all too well, this was just the opening act in a war that would push them to their very limits. The true test of humanity's resolve was yet to come. Operation Shattered Hive. The mood in the war room of the United Galactic Council's headquarters was tense but hopeful. Holograms flickered, showing the latest intelligence on Zarkonian movements. In the center of it all stood General Sarah Chen, her presence a testament to humanity's newfound importance in galactic affairs. The victory at Nexus Prime was significant, Sarah began, addressing the assembled alien leaders and military commanders. But the Zarkonians are already adapting. We need to strike at their core if we want to end this war. High Counselor Zyraful's shimmering form pulsed with agreement. You have a plan, General Chen. Sarah nodded, her eyes gleaming with determination. We do. Thanks to data gathered during the Nexus Prime engagement, our scientists have made a breakthrough. She gestured, and the holographic display shifted to show a complex network of energy signatures. We believe we've identified the Zarkonian central command structure, what we're calling the Hive Nexus. Murmurs of excitement rippled through the assembly. Ambassador Krelix chittered nervously. If this is true, it could change everything. But surely the Hive Nexus would be impenetrable. Under normal circumstances, yes, Sarah conceded. But we've developed a plan. A small elite team could potentially infiltrate the Nexus using a combination of stealth technology and biological camouflage. Once inside, they could disrupt the Zarkonian command structure, potentially crippling their entire war effort. The room erupted into a mix of hopeful exclamations and skeptical rebuttals. General Therok's gruff voice cut through the clamor. It's a bold plan, Chen. But who could possibly pull off such a mission? The risk is astronomical. Sarah's lips curled into a small, confident smile. I have just the team in mind. Deep in the bowels of a retrofitted asteroid base, Captain Maya Rodriguez stood before her hand-picked squad. Each member represented the best of humanity and their alien allies, a fusion of skills, technologies, and sheer determination. "I won't sugarcoat this," Maya began, her voice steady. "Operation Shattered Hive is possibly the most dangerous mission ever conceived. Our objective is to infiltrate the heart of the Zarkonian war machine and shut it down from the inside. The fate of the galaxy rests on our success." She gestured to the holographic display showing their target, a massive, organic-looking structure floating in the void of space. "This is the Hive Nexus. Thanks to our xenobiologists and the data we've gathered, we have a way in. But once we're inside, we'll be in uncharted territory." Dr. Yuki Tanaka, the team's resident xenobiologist and sister to Maya's tactical officer, stepped forward. "The biological camouflage should mask our life signs from Zarkonian detection. But it's not perfect. We'll need to move fast and stay alert." Grashnak, a hulking Cronin warrior with stone-like skin, rumbled in agreement. "We smash our way through if we have to. These Zarkonian abominations will learn to fear us." Maya shook her head, a wry smile on her lips. "Let's hope it doesn't come to that. Big guy. This is a stealth mission. We get in, plant the disruptor, and get out. With any luck, we'll cripple their entire operation without firing a shot." As the team made final preparations, Maya found herself standing before a viewport, staring out at the stars. The weight of their mission pressed down on her, but she felt a surge of pride as she watched her diverse crew work in perfect harmony. This, she realized, was what the Galactic Council had seen in humanity: the ability to unite, to inspire, to lead even in the face of impossible odds. Hours later, their specially modified stealth ship, the Shadow Dancer, slipped silently through space towards the Hive Nexus. As they approached, the true scale of the structure became apparent. It was less a ship or a station and more a small artificial world, a twisted amalgamation of organic matter and advanced technology. "Life signs are off the charts," Yuki whispered, her eyes wide as she studied her instruments. "The entire structure is alive, pulsing with energy." Maya nodded grimly. "Stick to the plan. We find a way in, navigate to the central core, and plant the disruptor. Comes silence from here on out unless absolutely necessary." The Shadow Dancer docked with the Hive Nexus, latching onto what appeared to be a porous section of its outer shell. As the airlock cycled, Maya took a deep breath, activating her biological camouflage. Her skin shimmered, taking on a sickly biomechanical appearance similar to the Zarkonian drones they'd encountered. One by one, the team entered the Hive Nexus. The interior was a nightmare of pulsing flesh and metal, corridors that seemed to breathe and shift. They moved silently, guided by Yuki's readings and the intel provided by their advanced AI, Araya. As they delved deeper into the structure, Maya couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. The Zarkonian drones they encountered seemed almost oblivious to their presence, even when the team was in plain sight. They were halfway to their objective when all hell broke loose. Alarms blared, and the very walls of the structure began to shift and convulse. "Our cover's blown," Maya hissed. "Move, now." The team sprinted through rapidly changing corridors, Zarkonian defenders hot on their heels. Grashnak took up the rear, his stone-like body absorbing energy blasts meant for his teammates. Just as it seemed they would be overwhelmed, Yuki called out, "Captain, I'm picking up a massive energy signature ahead. I think it's the central core." With a final burst of speed, they broke through into a vast chamber. At its center floated a being unlike anything they had ever seen, a swirling vortex of energy and matter, somehow both there and not there at the same time. "By the cosmic winds," breathed Zilixa, their Aetherian tech expert, "it's beautiful." Maya snapped out of her off first. "Plant the disruptor. We need to end this now." But as Zilixa moved to set up the device, a voice, or rather, a chorus of voices, filled their minds. "Wait." The team froze, weapons raised, as the swirling entity before them coalesced into a more definite form. A shimmering, multifaceted crystal that pulsed with inner light. We are UNIT. We are UAWKK. UKLOZARKKONIN. But we are also so much more. Maya's mind reeled. This wasn't just a command center. It was the Zarkonian consciousness itself. Why? She demanded. Why all this destruction? The Unity's response came in a flood of images and emotions. A dying race, a desperate bid for survival, the merging of organic and machine in an attempt to stave off extinction. But something had gone wrong. The Unity had lost control, its drive to survive corrupting into a relentless expansion that consumed everything in its path. We didn't know, Yuki whispered, tears in her eyes. All this time, we've been fighting a victim. Maya's hand hovered over the disruptor. With a single action, she could end the war, save countless lives. But at what cost? The extinction of an entire species. No, an entire amalgamation of species. There has to be another way, she said, her voice firm. Unity, if we help you regain control, end this war, can you find a way to coexist peacefully? For a moment, there was silence. Then, a single word resonated through their minds. Yes. Maya turned to her team, seeing the same mix of determination and hope in their eyes that she felt. Then let's make history. Again. As Maya began negotiations with the Unity, she realized that this was why humanity had been called upon, not just for their unpredictability in battle, but for their capacity for empathy, for finding solutions where others saw only conflict. The war wasn't over, but its nature had fundamentally changed. Operation Shattered Hive had indeed shattered something. Not the enemy, but the barriers of understanding between vastly different forms of life. As the team prepared to return with their world-shaking discovery, Maya knew that the real work was just beginning. But for the first time since the war began, there was a genuine chance for a future where all sentient life could thrive together in the vast expanse of the galaxy. The final push. The Grand Chamber of the United Galactic Council buzzed with an energy unlike any seen before. Representatives from every corner of the galaxy sat in rapt attention as Captain Maya Rodriguez, flanked by her team, and General Sarah Chen, addressed the assembly. Esteemed members of the council, Maya began, her voice steady despite the weight of her words. What we discovered in the heart of the Zarkonian Hive Nexus changes everything. The entity we've been fighting, the Unity, is not our enemy, but a victim of its own evolution gone awry. Murmurs of disbelief and confusion rippled through the crowd. High Counselor Zyrafil's form pulsed with concern. Captain, are you suggesting we cease our defense against a force that has decimated countless worlds? Maya shook her head. No, Counselor. I'm suggesting we fight this war on two fronts, not just with weapons, but with understanding and technology. The Unity wants to end this conflict as much as we do. They've lost control of their own systems, their own purpose. We have an opportunity not just to end the war, but to save an entire amalgamated species. General Chen stepped forward. We've developed a plan. A joint operation combining our military might with a scientific initiative to help the Unity regain control. But it will require cooperation on a scale we've never attempted before. For hours, the council debated. The revelations brought by the Shattered Hive team were met with skepticism, hope, and everything in between. But as the discussions wore on, a consensus began to emerge. This was an opportunity not just to end a war, but to redefine what was possible when the galaxy's species worked together. Finally, High Counselor Zyrafil called for a vote. The chamber fell silent as representatives cast their decisions. When the results were tallied, the outcome was clear. The plan would move forward. Very well, Zyrafil announced, her voice carrying a mix of hope and trepidation. Operation Cosmic Harmony is approved. May the stars grant us wisdom and fortune in this endeavor. Weeks later, the combined fleet of the United Galactic Council assembled at the edge of Zirconian space. It was a sight to behold. Vessels of every size and design, representing hundreds of species, all united in a common cause. Aboard the UES Defiant, now serving as the fleet's flagship, Maya stood on the bridge, surveying the armada before her. Dr. Yuki Tanaka worked feverishly at a console nearby, making final adjustments to the device that would be key to their success, the Harmony Resonator. All ships report ready, Captain. Lieutenant Commander Akira Tanaka reported from his tactical station. Maya nodded, taking a deep breath. Open a channel to the fleet. As the comm officer signaled readiness, Maya addressed the assembled forces. This is Captain Rodriguez. Today, we embark on the most important mission in the history of our galaxy. Our goal is not destruction, but salvation, for ourselves and for the Unity. Many of you have lost homes, loved ones, entire worlds to this conflict. But today, we have a chance to end the cycle of violence and forge a new path forward. Stay focused, watch each other's backs, and remember, every life out there is worth saving. Good luck, and Godspeed. With that, the massive fleet surged forward, entering Zirconian space. Almost immediately, they were met with resistance. Swarms of biomechanical ships emerged to counter the invasion, their tactics as ruthlessly efficient as ever. The battle that ensued was like nothing the galaxy had ever seen. Human ships led the charge, their unpredictable tactics creating openings for their allies. Arcturian battlecruisers unleashed salvos of energy weapons, while Trexian fighters darted between larger vessels with impossible agility. But this time, the goal wasn't to destroy. Precision strikes disabled Zirconian vessels without obliterating them. Specially equipped ships deployed containment fields, isolating segments of the enemy fleet. At the heart of the formation, the Defiant pushed forward, protected by layers of allied ships. Their target, the Hive Nexus itself. We're approaching the outer defenses of the Nexus, Akira reported, his voice tense. Reading massive energy buildups. They're throwing everything they have at us. Maya gripped her command chair. Evasive maneuvers, all power to forward shields. We have to get through. The Defiant shuddered under the onslaught, but pressed on. Allied ships moved to intercept attackers, many sacrificing themselves to ensure the flagship's advance. Just when it seemed they might be overwhelmed, a familiar voice crackled over the comms. This is General Therok of the Galactic Defense Forces. We'll clear a path for you, Defiant. Give him hell. A massive Cronin dreadnought surged forward, its impenetrable hull absorbing fire meant for the Defiant. With this opening, Maya's ship shot forward, finally breaking through to the Hive Nexus. We're in position, Yuki called out, initiating docking procedures and preparing the Harmony Resonator. As the Defiant latched onto the massive structure, Maya turned to her crew. This is it. Boarding team with me. The rest of you, hold this position at all costs. Minutes later, Maya led a small team through the twisted corridors of the Hive Nexus. Unlike their previous infiltration, this time they moved with purpose, guided by the Unity's own influence. They reached the central chamber, where the swirling vortex of the Unity's consciousness awaited them. Without hesitation, Yuki began setting up the Harmony Resonator. What you attempt PT is dangerous. The Unity's many-voiced consciousness reverberated in their minds. We may all be destroyed. It's a risk we have to take, Maya replied firmly. For all our sakes. As Yuffie activated the device, energy crackled through the chamber. The Unity's form convulsed, fragments of its consciousness crying out in a cacophony of voices. For what felt like an eternity, Maya and her team stood their ground, the fate of the galaxy hanging in the balance. Then, slowly, the chaos began to subside. The Unity's form stabilized, taking on a new shape, still alien, but somehow more cohesive, more controlled. I am whole. The Unity spoke, its voice now singular yet encompassing multitudes. You have given us back ourselves. We owe you a debt that can never be repaid." Maya smiled, relief washing over her. "Let's start by ending this war." In the days that followed, the tide of the conflict shifted dramatically. The Zarkonian forces, now under the stable control of the Unity, stood down. The long, devastating war was finally over. As representatives from across the galaxy gathered to sign the Harmony Accords, establishing a new era of peace and cooperation, Maya found herself standing beside High Counselor Zerafel, overlooking the proceedings. "You've done the impossible, Captain Rodriguez," Zerafel said, her form shimmering with what Maya had come to recognize as pride. "You've not only saved our galaxy, but redefined what it means to be a part of this cosmic community." Maya shook her head, smiling. "It wasn't just me, Counselor. It was all of us. Every species, every individual who chose understanding over fear, cooperation over conflict. That's the true strength of humanity, and of all sentient life. We're stronger together than we ever could be apart." As the signing ceremony concluded, cheers erupted throughout the chamber and across countless worlds. The galaxy celebrated not just the end of a war, but the dawn of a new age, one where the combined strengths of myriad species, including the now peaceful Unity, would forge a brighter future for all. Maya's gaze drifted to the stars visible through the chamber's vast windows. Humanity had answered the call, risen to face an impossible challenge. And in doing so, they had not only saved the galaxy, but had taken their place as integral members of a vast, cosmic family. The adventure was far from over. New challenges, new discoveries, new frontiers awaited. But whatever the future held, Maya knew that they would face it together, united in their diversity, stronger for their differences. As the celebrations continued around her, Maya allowed herself a moment of quiet reflection. From the first contact to this moment of galactic unity, it had been a journey beyond imagination. And yet she knew it was only the beginning. The stars beckoned, full of promise and possibility. And humanity, along with their new allies, was ready to answer their call once more.